He was a walking L, the kind of guy who admired the most popular girl in school from a distance and genuinely believed he had a better shot at getting struck by lightning twice than ever talking to her. But fate and two idiotic friends had other plans. Ryuto was a quiet, unremarkable guy, smart, kept to himself, and completely off the radar of anyone worth knowing. He had one thing going for him, a deep, steady crush on Luna, the girl the entire school orbited around like she was the sun. She was warm, effortlessly beautiful, and somehow friendly to everyone, even nervous nobodies like him. Ryuto knew he had no business feeling the way he did. He wasn't her type. He wasn't anybody's type. So he kept his feelings locked up tight and settled for watching her from across the room. Then came the pencil. One ordinary afternoon, Luna walked up to him, asked to borrow one, and smiled at him like it was the most natural thing in the world. It was a 10-second interaction. Ryuto felt it for the rest of the day. When she handed it back, their fingers barely touched, and that brief contact hit him harder than anything he'd experienced in his entire forgettable life. Later at lunch, his two friends Ren and Yusuke were venting about their exam scores, dramatic as ever, blaming their failed grades on brains that simply weren't built for academic success. Ryuto tried to soften the blow by claiming he had failed too, but they didn't buy it for a second. They knew he was lying. So they proposed a deal. Whoever scored highest had to obey whatever the other two demanded. When the scores came back, Ren and Yusuke crashed. Ryuto topped them both. Their punishment for him was simple and brutal. Confess to Luna. They figured if they had to suffer, so did he. The pain of rejection, they reasoned, was fair trade for the pain of failure. Ryuto had no way out. After school, he slipped a letter into Luna's locker, asking her to meet him alone. When she arrived, he could barely breathe. His hands were shaking. But he pushed through it and told her, quietly, awkwardly, honestly, that he liked her. Luna asked him why. He said she was cute. The moment the words left his mouth, he wanted to disappear. He had already mentally prepared his speech for being let down gently. Instead, she said yes. She actually said yes. Ren and Yusuke watched from a distance, completely speechless. Ryuto stood there, not entirely sure what had just happened to his life. On their first walk home together, Ryuto asked why she agreed. Luna told him she wanted to get to know him better, that she believed spending time together was how real feelings grew. But she was honest about something else too. Most of her past relationships hadn't lasted past 2 months. She didn't say it to scare him. She said it matter-of-factly, like a warning she felt he deserved. When they reached her house, she invited him up to her room. He sat on her bed while she went to get drinks, quietly panicking about every single thing in the universe. Luna came back, sat close, and without much build-up, asked if he wanted to get physical. Ryuto's brain short-circuited, but his conscience held firm. He stopped her. He told her they barely knew each other, that he wanted their relationship to actually mean something, and that when the time came, it should be because they both genuinely wanted it. Luna went quiet. Then she told him something that reframed everything. She said it had never mattered to her whether she wanted to or not, because in her experience, every guy she dated wanted the same thing, and if she refused, they left. Ryuto sat with that for a moment. And just like that, the rumors about her made complete sense. Not because she was who people said she was, but because the guys around her had never given her a reason to believe she deserved better. He walked home that night having already decided he wasn't going to be one of those guys. The next day at school, Ryuto still couldn't fully process that he was dating Luna. She was sending him cute texts about running late, and he had absolutely no idea how to respond like a normal human being. When she walked into class, the whole room shifted, and when her eyes found him and she smiled, he came dangerously close to cardiac arrest. At lunch, he told Ren and Yusuke what had happened. Yusuke immediately warned him. Someone as popular as Luna wouldn't stay with a loser like him forever. There were always guys lined up. Ryuto heard him, but he wasn't thinking about that. He was thinking about how to not mess this up. Luna, meanwhile, had started talking to him more than usual, leaning in close during class, telling him about a dream she had the night before, her eyes bright and her voice carrying that effortless energy that made the whole room tilt in her direction. A few guys in the back mocked Ryuto for getting flustered so easily. Even Nicole, Luna's best friend, stared at him like she was calculating exactly how long it would take to have him removed from the premises. The pressure was unbearable. Ryuto awkwardly changed the subject mid-conversation and excused himself. Wanting to protect what they had, he later asked Luna if they could keep things quiet at school. Just act like a couple on weekends and after hours. Luna heard the word weekends and lit up, thinking he was asking her out. She agreed on the spot. That night, Ryuto realized he had accidentally committed himself to planning a date with zero experience, zero ideas, and 1 day to figure it out. Luna called him that evening and asked where they should go. He panicked and said movies. She asked which one. He froze. Sensing his hesitation, she asked him something more important. Why did he even want to go on a date with her? He answered honestly. He just wanted to know her better. He was fine doing whatever she normally did on weekends. After a pause, Luna agreed, and when Saturday arrived, Ryuto learned that what Luna normally did on weekends was shop, enthusiastically, thoroughly, and across every store in the mall. He followed her around in his clearly out-of-place clothes, watching her face light up at things she liked, memorizing every reaction. When they sat down for drinks, Luna asked if he had even enjoyed himself. He told her the truth. He had spent the whole day studying her, what she liked, how she moved, what made her eyes go wide. And in the end, he said, he enjoyed it simply because she looked happy. Luna blushed. She told him again that he really was different. That night, she didn't reply to his message. It was the first time. Ryuto's mind went into immediate freefall, convincing himself she was pulling away, that she'd already found someone better, that the whole thing had been too good to be real. The next day, she asked him to meet her at the park. He showed up, already half resigned to being dumped. Instead, Luna pulled out a phone case, limited edition, her favourite cartoon character, and told him she had bought 2 of them, one for her, one for him. She dragged Nicole along just to get around the 1 per person limit. Their phones had died waiting in line, which was why she hadn't replied the night before. Ryuto stood there feeling like the biggest idiot in the world. While Luna worried that he didn't like the surprise, he was quietly overwhelmed by the fact that someone had gone out of their way to do something thoughtful specifically for him. On the walk home, Luna mentioned it was their 1-week anniversary. Ryuto admitted this was all new to him, that his first love had ended in rejection. Luna smiled and said she was glad it hadn't worked out, because if it had, she wouldn't be standing next to him right now. Ryuto said that young love never lasts anyway. Luna disagreed. Her parents had started dating when they were young and eventually got married. That was the kind of love story she believed in. Ryuto didn't push back. He just listened. Then a supercar tore past them on the road and something in Ryuto snapped alive. He launched into a full breakdown of the vehicle. Specs, engineering, performance stats, completely unable to stop himself. Luna stood there in stunned silence as he rattled off details like a man possessed. When he finally caught himself, he apologized. Luna laughed and said it was fine. Then she said something that stuck. She wanted to be like a supercar. Move fast, grow up quickly, start a family someday. But life kept getting in the way. Her relationships never lasted. Her parents were divorced. Deep down, she still felt immature in ways she couldn't quite name. Ryuto thought about it for a moment and told her that supercars weren't only about speed, they were about enjoying the ride. She was already living her youth properly, enjoying school, her friends, the things she loved. That was enough. Luna smiled. A real one. She said she tried to enjoy life more. That night, she called Nicole and said the surprise had gone perfectly. Nicole, blunt as ever, told her she didn't have to stay with Ryuto if she didn't want to. She still didn't trust him. Luna answered simply. She did want to stay. She felt comfortable around him. That was enough for her. Then the transfer student arrived. She walked into the classroom looking calm and composed, and the moment Ryuto saw her face, the air left his lungs. It was Maria, his first love, The girl who had looked him in the eye and told him he was nothing more than a friend to her. The sting resurfaced instantly, sharp and specific, the way old rejections always are. He forced himself to breathe. He was with Luna now. That was what mattered. The teacher asked Maria to sit at the front, right next to Ryuto. Maria tried to be friendly, acting like their history was just background noise. Ryuto kept his distance, not out of cruelty, but out of survival. The last thing he needed was for people to start connecting dots that led back to a story he hadn't told Luna yet. After school, Nicole intercepted him. She pulled him aside, sat down with her fries, and stared at him with the energy of someone deciding whether to end a man or simply ruin his afternoon. He braced himself. But what she actually wanted to talk about was Luna's birthday, coming up that Sunday. When Ryuto admitted he didn't know, Nicole's opinion of him visibly dropped several floors. She told him to fix it, properly. Ryuto, to his credit, asked for her help. He wanted to know what Luna actually liked, what would make her genuinely happy. Nicole agreed, and for a moment, they were almost allies. Then someone took a photo of them talking and uploaded it to the class group chat. By the next morning, it had already become a topic. Luna was waiting for him at the train station, and she got straight to the point. What was the picture about? The chat was running jokes about Nicole having a thing for submissive, unfortunate-looking men. Luna wasn't angry. She just needed an explanation. Ryuto gave her one, walking her through every detail. Nicole had approached him about Luna's birthday surprise, nothing more. The surprise was ruined now, so he asked Luna out directly instead. Luna understood immediately. She agreed to the date. She reminded him about their rule of keeping things quiet at school, then walked ahead. Ryuto watched her go and caught himself wondering if she was a little jealous. The thought made him unreasonably happy. On her birthday, he took her to Harajuku. Nicole had told him it was Luna's favourite place, that and bubble tea. He had done his homework. When Luna stepped into the neighbourhood and saw the bubble tea waiting for her, she lit up exactly the way he had hoped. He stopped her from paying for herself. It was her birthday. She wasn't spending a single coin. Then he pulled out a small, hand-drawn map he had made himself, marking every bubble tea spot in the area they were going to hit that day. Luna stared at it. No one had ever done anything like that for her. What followed was an all-out birthday bubble tea crawl. Shop after shop, cup after cup, until Ryuto was genuinely struggling to continue. Luna insisted on sharing hers with him anyway. He accepted it, nervous and quietly thrilled, hyper-aware that it was basically an indirect kiss. Luna just laughed and enjoyed the moment. As the day wound down, Ryuto felt the pull of something unresolved. The fact that Maria was now in their lives, that Luna didn't know about their history, that he was carrying a secret he hadn't figured out how to hand over yet. He thought about bringing it up, but before he could, he sensed that Luna was holding something back too. Neither of them said anything. Then he realized he had spent every last coin on milk tea and had nothing left to give her as a gift. He apologized. Luna reassured him immediately. The day had already been more than enough. But if he really wanted to give her something, she asked for the hand-drawn map instead. Knowing he had made it just for her made it more meaningful than anything he could have bought. Ryuto handed it over, a little flustered, and filed the moment away as proof that she consistently surprised him. Days later, a new rumor started spreading. This one painted Luna as a gold digger, someone who used her boyfriends for their money, then moved on. When Ryuto heard it, something cold settled in his chest. At lunch on the rooftop, Nicole appeared, the kind of entrance that made Ren and Yusuke forget how to function, and the three of them talked about it. Nicole was furious. Ryuto told her plainly that he didn't believe a word of it, and he meant it. Back in class, Maria began inching closer. Homemade cookies one day, a forgotten textbook and a shared desk the next. Each move calculated, each smile doing exactly the work she intended. When the teacher stepped out, Maria brought up the past, said she had been naive, that she hadn't really understood relationships back then. She looked at him with eyes that made the implication perfectly clear. Ryuto didn't take the bait. He told her flatly that he already had a girlfriend. Maria looked genuinely surprised. She asked who. He didn't answer. He had made a promise to Luna, and he wasn't breaking it. After school, Ryuto noticed Luna being pulled aside by another guy. Something shifted in his chest. He followed quietly, staying out of sight. Inside an empty classroom, the guy confessed and asked Luna to be with him. Luna turned him down without hesitation. She said she already had a boyfriend. The guy laughed and suggested she was probably embarrassed because her boyfriend was a nobody. Luna cut him off. She said she could tell everyone exactly who her boyfriend was, but she chose not to because she respected his wish to stay out of the spotlight. She said if people knew who he was, she would be proud. Every single word of it reached Ryuto through the wall, and he stood there completely frozen, not expecting any of it. He had spent weeks quietly worrying that she was embarrassed by him. He didn't worry about that anymore. Later, Maria brought the rumors back up, this time with specifics. A friend of hers had dated Luna, she said, called her clingy and selfish. Then she said something worse, something sharp and personal, crossing a line that made Ryuto's patience snap clean in half. He stood up, he channeled everything he had, and he said, loudly and clearly, that he was Luna's boyfriend. The room went silent. Luna, calm as ever, confirmed it. The boys immediately started calling Luna an angel for choosing someone like Ryuto. The rumor lost its power in real time. Maria, visibly rattled, stormed out. Ryuto followed her into the hall, and that's when it all came out. Maria admitted she was behind the gossip. She didn't deny it. She told him she wanted to be chosen first, for once in her life. And then she revealed the truth that reframed everything. She was Luna's twin sister. After their parents divorced, Maria had gone with their mother while Luna stayed with her father. Luna grew up bright and praised and admired. Maria spent years trying to become her, and no matter what she did, Luna always ended up in the spotlight. She asked Ryuto if he was disgusted by her. He said he didn't like what she had done, but he understood where it came from. She reminded him of himself in a way. He told her that Luna was someone who constantly surprised him with how honest she was, and that if Maria kept trying to force herself into Luna's shape, she would only end up hurting herself. He hoped that someday she would meet someone who saw her, actually saw her, not her sister. Maria told him to leave her alone. When Ryuto returned to the classroom, Nicole gave him a quiet nod of approval. After school, he and Luna walked home side by side, and Luna said she was relieved everyone finally knew. She asked why he had decided to come out with it. He told her he couldn't stand what people were saying about her. Her eyes filled up. She admitted she had been trying to ignore it, and that it meant everything that someone had finally stood up for her. Then she paused and told him what she already knew. Maria was her twin sister. She apologized for hiding it, explaining she had wanted to say something, just never found the right moment. She asked if he believed any of the rumors. Ryuto didn't hesitate. The only thing that mattered to him was the girl walking next to him right now. Old rumors had nothing to do with what they had. The next day, Ryuto braced for chaos. Whispers, stares, the full social gauntlet that came with everyone knowing he was dating the most popular girl in school. He walked into class ready for the worst. Nobody said anything, and when Luna arrived, she could finally talk to him openly without the careful distance they had been maintaining. It felt different, easier, like something that had been held at arm's length had finally been allowed to just exist. After school, Luna decided that if Ryuto wanted to understand her better, she wanted the same in return. She asked what he normally did on weekends. He blurted out that he mostly watched live streams. She asked to see one. He pulled it up, half expecting her to lose interest in 30 seconds. Instead, she leaned in, genuinely curious, edging slightly closer as she watched. Ryuto's heart rate climbed without his permission, and somewhere in the back of his mind, a thought surfaced that he quickly tried to suppress. If Luna could actually fall for someone like him, maybe someday he could even kiss her. A few days later, he went to Ren and Yusuke for advice on exactly that. They had none. Neither of them had any experience to speak of. The only wisdom they could offer was to start with the ancient and sacred ritual of hand-holding and work up from there. Ryuto took it seriously. He invited Luna to Wano Park, and she immediately got excited. She had always wanted to go. The plan, as Ren and Yusuke had laid it out, was embarrassingly simple. Get her on a boat, wait for her to lose her balance, catch her hand. Ryuto ran through the scenario in his head during class while the teacher was talking. He was so deep in the daydream that when the teacher called on him, he froze completely. Maria, sitting nearby, quietly stepped in and covered for him. Afterward, he thanked her. She asked if he still hated her for everything. He said he didn't. She hid her smile badly. At the park, they headed straight for the duck boats. Luna stepped onto the dock, wobbled slightly, and then caught herself without any help at all. Ryuto stood there watching his entire plan collapse. He spent the rest of the ride trying to find a natural opening, and every time he reached for her hand, something intervened. Luna stepped sideways. He overcorrected. She misread his expression and went quiet, remembering how one of her exes used to go silent right before ending things. Ryuto saw her face change and immediately cleared it up. He wasn't pulling away. He just wanted to know if she'd like to ride the boat again. Thinking he was simply very enthusiastic about boats, Luna agreed. This time, Ryuto boarded first and held out his hand to help her in. She took it. Flustered, a little pink, but she took it. And when they drifted out to the middle of the lake, Luna admitted she should have suggested this kind of boat from the start, because she'd actually been wanting to hold his hand. She'd been thinking about it for days. That was why she'd been sticking close to him. Ryuto admitted he had been thinking the same thing. Luna leaned in, and before he could react, she kissed him. She pulled back smiling, told him it felt like they thought the same way, and said she wanted to keep knowing him more. Ryuto sat there quietly stunned, falling deeper than he had words for. On the walk back, she asked to keep holding hands the whole way home. Then she said, almost to herself, that she wondered if they'd be just as nervous when the time came to be truly intimate. Whatever happened, she told him, her feelings for him would only keep growing. That night, Maria lay awake, unable to stop thinking about him. The fact that he had ended up with her own twin sister hurt more than she wanted to admit, and in that frustration, a dangerous idea started forming. A few days later, Ryuto helped Luna study English. The sentence they landed on was a grammar exercise, something about the last honest man standing in a world full of liars. Ryuto explained it plainly. Luna took it as a reflection of him. She said that if the whole world were full of people who cheated and betrayed, Ryuto would be the last one standing who didn't. He blushed and looked away. After their study session, Luna reminded him that their 1-month anniversary fell during summer break. She shyly asked if he wanted to go to the beach with her. The word beach hit Ryuto like a freight train. Images arrived before he could stop them. Luna in a swimsuit, Luna at the beach. He fought to hold his composure while she watched him with quiet amusement, then said his name to pull him back. He agreed. She was happy. When Ryuto stepped out later, Maria stopped him in the hall. She said she wasn't close to the other classmates yet and asked if he could help her study English. Ryuto hesitated, then politely said no. He had already promised Luna. She pushed back, suggested math tutoring during summer break instead. He redirected her to Yusuke, who was far better at math. Before he could walk away, she asked for his number. He gave it, not quite finding a graceful way to refuse. Summer break arrived. Maria started messaging him almost immediately, asking when he was free, suggesting they meet up. Ryuto kept his answers short and dry. His focus was entirely on Luna. The beach day arrived. Luna stepped out in her swimsuit and Ryuto's brain required a moment to reboot. She looked effortlessly confident and completely at ease in a way that made him painfully aware of how out of place he was next to her. He stared a second too long. She noticed, found it adorable, and immediately leaned in to tease him. He shuffled backward, face burning. She laughed. Then she asked him to apply sunscreen on her back. He did it carefully, professionally, and completely silently, running through math formulas in his head and cataloguing every moment Sakura had been useless in Naruto, just to keep himself from completely losing his composure. When he finished, Luna thanked him. He thanked her back for reasons he chose not to examine too closely. They played volleyball, splashed in the water, laughed over food. Luna mentioned how lucky they were with the weather. Ryuto finally worked up the nerve to compliment her swimsuit. She blushed and told him she had tried on over 30 before picking that one, and Nicole had even done her nails to match. Then the rain came in heavy and fast. The train schedule collapsed. With no way home, they let their families know they were staying with friends for the night. At a nearby hotel, despite having enough money for separate rooms, Luna said they should share one. Ryuto nodded, internally screaming. He suggested she take a bath first to settle in. While she was gone, he dropped to the floor and started doing sit-ups, because apparently that was how he was going to manage the situation. Luna came back, saw him exercising on the floor, and laughed. She reached out and jokingly went to feel his stomach. He panicked and pulled away. Embarrassed, she told him to go take his bath. Even in the bath he couldn't relax. He was still very aware of the shared room on the other side of the door. Afterward, they ate together and watched television. He caught himself staring at her. She told him not to look. She wasn't wearing any makeup. He said she looked beautiful like this, younger and softer and completely herself. She flushed and looked away. When the lights went out and they lay down, Ryuto couldn't sleep. Luna noticed, and with a blush, she asked if he was planning to sleep or if he wanted something else entirely. He caught himself, kept his head, and gently told her he didn't think she was fully ready yet. Luna explained she wasn't trying to push, she was worried she was making things difficult for him. She talked about how different he was from anyone she had dated before, how he respected her without being asked to, how much that meant to her. A month into their relationship, she said, she loved him more deeply than before. She believed that when the time was right, being closer would feel completely natural. He told her he only wanted to move forward when she truly felt comfortable. She called him too considerate. He said it was because he liked her. She smiled, asked for a hug, and they fell asleep side by side, hands loosely intertwined. The next morning, Ryuto walked Luna home and then headed back on his own, running on almost no sleep and a head full of noise. On the way, he ran into Nicole. She didn't waste time on pleasantries. She told him about Luna's past, that every relationship Luna had been in ended badly within 2 months, usually through betrayal or neglect, and that Luna quietly carried the fear that history would repeat itself. She wasn't telling him this to scare him. She was telling him because she needed to know he understood the weight of what he was holding. Ryuto told her he would never hurt Luna, that he planned to stay. Nicole studied him for a moment, then let it go. For the first time, she seemed even slightly reassured. That night, just as Ryuto got home and was finally about to decompress, his phone rang. Maria's name was on the screen. He answered, but the voice on the other end was Luna's. She said she was at Maria's place and that she urgently needed to see him at school. Ryuto tried to beg off. He was exhausted, it was late, every part of him wanted to lie down. But she pressed him, and guilt did the rest. He got up and went. The classroom was dim when he arrived. Luna stood alone inside. She told him she wanted to take the relationship further, abruptly, without build-up, in a way that felt completely off. Something didn't sit right. And then she moved toward him, arms around him, whispering something that nearly broke his resolve, until a memory surfaced. The real Luna, the night before, patient and sincere and nothing like this. He pulled back, looked at her properly, and called her out. The girl in front of him wasn't Luna, it was Maria. She dropped the act without much resistance. She admitted it freely. Their voices were nearly identical, and she had known exactly what she was doing. Ryuto demanded to know why. Maria said she wanted to be with him. She said she could become Luna if that was what he needed. She stepped closer, told him no one would ever know, asked him to choose her just once. He shut it down without hesitation. He was not going to betray Luna, full stop. Just then, a security guard's voice echoed down the hall. They slipped out through a window and disappeared into the night, ending up side by side on a quiet bench, with the city humming around them. Maria stared at the ground. Her shoulders were trembling. Ryuto's anger softened when he saw it. Not because what she had done was okay, but because the person sitting next to him looked genuinely broken. He asked if all of this was about hating Luna, or trying to get back at her somehow. Maria shook her head immediately. She didn't hate her sister. She had simply never been able to stop herself from wanting him. She admitted she understood now how Ryuto had felt when she rejected him years ago, because this was exactly that feeling, inverted and returned. Her voice broke while she apologized. Ryuto wanted to reach out, but stopped himself. He wasn't going to give her something that could be mistaken for more than it was. She asked for one last thing, just for him to stay while she cried it out. He stayed. By morning, rumors had already spread across school. Ryuto had no idea where they started or what exactly was being said, but the shape of it was clear. People were whispering about him and Maria. Ren pulled him aside the moment he walked in, and Yusuke showed him a photo taken the night before, grainy and out of context but damning enough. The story being passed around was that Ryuto had cheated on Luna. He found Maria and pulled her aside. He asked if she had started it. She denied it flatly. She said she would never humiliate herself like that. She apologized again and promised to cut all contact. Then, quietly, before he turned to leave, she said something she probably shouldn't have. That if she had accepted him back when he first confessed, she might be his girlfriend now. She brushed it off herself, said there was no point dwelling on it, but the words still landed. Then Luna and Nicole walked into the classroom. Luna froze mid-step when she heard someone mention that Maria was Ryuto's first love. Her phone slipped out of her hand and hit the floor. She didn't look at him, she just turned and walked back out, tears already forming. Nicole picked up the phone, turned to Ryuto, and slapped him clean across the face. Then she followed Luna without another word. The rest of the day dissolved. The school held its final assembly before summer break. Luna and Maria were both absent. Ryuto sat there feeling the full weight of everything falling apart at once, with no idea how to reach her, and no one to blame but himself. Summer arrived, and it felt nothing like it was supposed to. He sent message after message. None of them were read. He stood outside Luna's house more than once, staring at the front door, unable to make himself ring the bell. Each time he turned away, hating himself a little more for it. Meanwhile, Ren and Yusuke headed to the beach without a real plan, wandered around on their phones, and stumbled across something that made them both stop cold. A familiar face through a restaurant window. Luna, sitting close to a guy nobody recognized. They sent Ryuto a photo. He felt it in his chest immediately. Without thinking, he left class mid-session, ran to the station, and rode the train to the beach with his heart hammering the entire way. Inside the restaurant, Luna and Nicole were taking selfies together when he appeared in the doorway. Both of them froze. Ryuto said he wasn't there to eat, he was there to talk to Luna. The guy from the photo walked over, read the room instantly, and introduced himself as Luna's uncle. Ryuto felt the tension leave his body all at once. The uncle then smoothly pulled Nicole away under the pretense of needing help at the counter, leaving the two of them alone. Ryuto took a breath and laid everything out. Maria confessing to him rejecting her breaking down, him staying while she cried, the photo almost certainly taken during that moment. He told Luna he should have told her sooner, and he was sorry he hadn't. Luna shook her head. She said he didn't need to apologize. She knew he wasn't like that. She said Maria's feelings were real, and she was grateful that Ryuto had been kind to her sister when she was at her lowest. Ryuto stared at her, stunned by how calm she was. He asked why she had never replied to his messages. Luna held up her phone. It had been at a repair center ever since it hit the floor. She had never seen any of his messages. Ryuto sat with that for a moment. Weeks of spiraling, of standing outside her door and walking away, all of it built on a silence that had nothing to do with him. Luna told him she had never truly believed he would betray her, but learning about Maria had frightened her, and she hadn't known how to bring it up without things getting painful. She had planned to reach out once her phone was fixed. Before she could, he had come all the way here. That alone, she said, made her happy. After they made up, Luna brought him to meet her grandmother, who lived nearby with her uncle Mao. Mao took an immediate liking to Ryuto and insisted he stay the night. Before they went inside, Luna paused and asked if he wanted to spend the rest of summer break with her there, helping out at Mao's cafe, hanging around the beach, going to the summer festival together. Ryuto said yes without hesitating, and in that moment, summer actually began. The next morning, he woke up to Luna sprawled across him and spent several disorientated seconds genuinely unsure whether he was awake. His brain flagged the situation, found no protocol for it, and simply stalled. Luna was already awake and unbothered. Ryuto was neither. That afternoon, they started part-time work at Mao's restaurant. Ryuto fumbled through everything at first, needing Luna to stay close and walk him through each task. During a short break, two men approached Luna outside and started pushing her to come with them. Luna tried to handle it herself, not wanting to make a scene. Ryuto hesitated. He doubted he had the presence to actually help, but he forced himself up and walked over anyway. The men laughed. They told Luna to choose between them and the ugly guy next to her. Luna grabbed Ryuto's arm and pulled him close. She said she would choose him, her boyfriend, every single time without hesitation. The grin on Ryuto's face was embarrassingly obvious. The men left with nothing to show for it. Once the men were gone, Luna thanked Ryuto for stepping in. Then she turned the conversation towards something more serious. She asked about his plans after graduation, what he wanted to do, where he saw himself going. Caught off guard, he admitted he hadn't thought that far ahead. Luna talked about her friends, Nicole working part-time and saving for manicure school, Akari aiming for fashion. When Ryuto turned the question back on her, Luna was quiet for a moment. Then she said her goal in school had always been to find someone she could stay with forever. She looked at him when she said it, and then looked away. She talked about wanting her family to be whole again someday, about dreaming of a warm home, lots of kids, a husband who stayed. She caught herself rambling and apologized. Ryuto told her not to. He sat there quietly, thinking that she had already mapped out the future more seriously than he ever had. That thought followed him into the bath later that evening. He told himself he needed to stop coasting, aim for a good university, actually build something worth offering her. He was still turning it over in his head when he heard Luna cry out from the kitchen. He rushed in to find her genuinely distressed, not hurt, but upset in the specific way that only happens when someone cares too much about something small. There were no potatoes. The special beef and potato stew she had planned to surprise him with was not going to happen. Ryuto stood in the kitchen doorway, watching her fuss over it, and felt something warm settle in his chest that he couldn't quite put into words. They went out to buy groceries together. On the way back, Luna insisted on carrying one of the bags so their hands would be free. Ryuto held her hand the entire walk home, face red the whole time. Back at the house, they cooked together, moving around each other in a kitchen that was just slightly too small for two people. Luna talking and laughing while Ryuto tried to be useful. At one point, she said they looked like a married couple. Neither of them knew where to look after that. When the stew was ready, Luna fed him the first bite herself and watched his face anxiously. He told her it was delicious. She beamed. They sat across from each other, both too flustered to look away, both too aware of how comfortable this had started to feel. At Maria's house, her mother mentioned offhand that Luna and a boy named Ryuto would be visiting the grandmother. Maria went very still. Then, she announced she had something urgent to do and declined the visit entirely. At the grandmother's place, Luna heard Maria wouldn't be coming and wondered aloud whether her sister was deliberately avoiding them. Ryuto agreed, quietly recalling how jarring it had been when Maria first appeared in their classroom. Luna reflected that seeing the two of them together must be painful for Maria. They had grown up so differently despite being twins, and the gap between their lives had never fully closed. Even so, Luna said, she loved her. She wanted to find a way back to her. Then she looked at Ryuto and suggested something unexpected. Maybe he could be the one to reach Maria first. A direct approach from Luna might only push her further away, but a bridge, someone neutral, someone Maria had already connected with, might work where Luna couldn't. Ryuto was surprised. Luna said she meant it. She wanted him to be that bridge. Not long after, Mal returned and handed Luna her repaired phone. She lit up immediately, scrolling through weeks of unread messages and firing off replies with the focused energy of someone making up for lost time. Ryuto watched her from across the room, smiling without realizing it. Luna looked up, caught his expression, and immediately dragged him over to record a TikTok together. He had no idea what was happening until it was already done. On the last day of summer break, Mal paid Ryuto for his work at the restaurant. Ryuto hesitated. It hadn't felt like a job, it felt like living. But Mal insisted. He had earned it. Standing there with the money in his hand, Ryuto felt something shift quietly inside him. It was the first time he had ever been paid for his own effort. Mal smiled and told him that 2 months was worth celebrating, that he should buy Luna something, a small gift, something she would remember. That evening, Ryuto found Luna dressed in a yukata, and his mind went blank for a full second before he remembered he was her boyfriend and was supposed to say something. He changed into a yukata himself and they headed to the summer festival together. Stalls stretching in every direction, paper lanterns overhead, the whole night smelling like food and summer and something that felt too good to be ordinary. They played games, tried their luck at the goldfish stall, shared snacks as they wandered from stall to stall. At one point, Luna stopped at a jewellery stand and began searching for a moonstone accessory she had been looking for. The vendor told her it was already sold out. Luna's face fell. She said she'd come back next year. Ryuto filed it away without a word. Walking home, he admitted that everything they had done that night was a first for him. The festival, the yukata, all of it. Luna smiled softly and said her mother had married the very first person she dated. She let the implication hang in the air for a moment, then caught herself and apologized, embarrassed by her own honesty. Her smile faded slightly as she admitted she wished all her firsts could have been with him. She felt guilty that she couldn't give him that when he kept giving her so many new ones. Tears gathered at the edges of her eyes. Ryuto told her quietly that what she felt for him now was new. It was its own thing, separate from everything that came before, and that was enough for him. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. He told her it was their 2-month anniversary. Luna's eyes went wide as she opened it and found the moonstone she had wanted, the one the vendor had told her was sold out. He had tracked it down before she even noticed him slip away. Tears spilled over. She laughed and cried at the same time. Ryuto slid the ring onto her finger, and right on cue, fireworks burst overhead. Colours splitting open across the night sky, lighting up everything around them. Standing close beneath the light, Ryuto finally said the words out loud. That he loved her. Luna answered that she loved him too. They leaned in and shared a soft kiss as the festival lights faded around them. Days later, Luna spotted Maria nearby and gathered her courage to approach. Maria went cold the moment she saw her and walked away without a word. Ryuto arrived just in time to catch the exchange. He walked beside Luna and gently reminded her. The plan to get closer to Maria started with becoming her friend first, one step at a time. Later, Ryuto met up with Yusuke and Ren and, in a move that surprised everyone including himself, suggested they all join him for a group outing with Luna and her friends to play airsoft. Yusuke and Ren stared at him like he had just proposed something illegal. On Sunday, Ryuto and his 2 friends arrived and promptly froze when they saw Luna, Nicole and Akari taking selfies. All 3 of them looked unfairly good. Ryuto recovered first, then immediately noticed Luna's outfit was doing things it probably shouldn't have been doing at an airsoft venue, and awkwardly asked her to zip up her jacket. Nicole shut that down without looking up from her phone. It was called fashion. Akari mentioned that she and Ren had actually been in the same class years ago. Ren completely short-circuited the moment she addressed him directly. Luna and Ryuto flirted openly beside them, which only made Yusuke and Ren feel the full sting of being deeply, painfully single. Nicole noticed their expressions and asked with a perfectly straight face if they were dissatisfied with her. The tension broke. The match began and chaos followed immediately. Ren went down first, took it personally and charged straight at Ryuto and Luna in revenge, only to be eliminated by Akari before he got close. The three of them tried to regroup, but Nicole came in from the side like she had done this before. Ryuto stepped in front of the girls and took the hit, eliminated but standing between them and the threat until the last possible second. Nicole took out Akari right after. That left Luna and Nicole, 1-on-1. Luna declared she was going to avenge Ryuto. After a tense exchange of shots, she won. During the break, Luna thanked Ryuto for stepping in front of them. He said he would do anything for her without hesitation, as if it were the simplest fact in the world. Meanwhile, Nicole inspected her nails, blamed her loss on them interfering with her grip, trimmed them calmly, and announced she was ready for the next round. She then proceeded to dominate every match that followed, like the rest of them were simply training dummies. After the games, Luna suddenly panicked. Her moonstone earring was missing. Ryuto helped her search the whole area, dreading what he'd find. It turned up inside her bag, exactly where it had always been. As they caught their breath, Ryuto noticed something he had been turning over for a while. Luna only ever wore that earring outside of school, and always just one. He didn't know what it meant yet, but the thought lingered. The group headed to a restaurant afterward to wind down. Akari said she had genuinely enjoyed the airsoft and might get into it. Yusuke launched into an enthusiastic lecture about guns and equipment that lost most of the table within 30 seconds, except Akari, who actually listened. Nicole pointed out that Akari was an otaku. Akari confirmed it without shame, then went on an excited rant about her favorite boy band that left the boys visibly overwhelmed. Nicole followed up by declaring her obsession with nail art in equal detail, walking through every style she loved with the energy of someone who had been waiting for the right audience. Luna watched them both and said quietly that she envied people who had something they were truly passionate about. Nicole glanced sideways at Ryuto without a word. Luna caught it and turned red. Ren leaned toward Ryuto and asked under his breath if Nicole was single. Nicole overheard from across the table and calmly stated she had no interest in dating right now. Akari asked if that was because of her ex. Nicole smiled and said he used to listen to Buddhist chants like they were his favorite album, and even though they had only dated 2 weeks, he had been her first love. He still mattered to her. Ren muttered something under his breath about her still being untouched by the world. Nicole put her heel into his foot before he could finish the sentence. Akari turned to Yusuke and mentioned she liked tall guys. Yusuke perked up immediately and asked her ideal type. She said tall, then asked how tall he was. When he told her, she said that matched one of her favorite idols exactly. Yusuke lit up like a man who had just been handed a reason to exist. Ryuto understood the feeling completely. Eventually, everyone went their separate ways, leaving Ryuto and Luna alone. Luna said she didn't feel like going home yet, so they rode the Ferris wheel. At the top, Luna told him about a childhood memory, reading her mother's shoujo manga, the heroine eating chocolate and kissing her boyfriend on a Ferris wheel, and deciding right then that she wanted that exact moment someday. Ryuto pointed out that eating on a Ferris wheel wasn't allowed. Luna laughed and admitted she hadn't brought chocolate anyway. Then she said they could still kiss. They did, softly, the city spread out below them. Luna asked how it tasted. Ryuto said peaches. She smiled and told him she was wearing peach-flavored lipstick. Then she told him how deeply she loved him and asked him to pat her head. When he did, she looked like she might actually combust from happiness. On the walk home, she suddenly stopped, overwhelmed. She said she couldn't believe their relationship had reached 3 months. She felt so happy she could cry. Ryuto suggested they do something to celebrate. Luna told him that every moment with him already felt like a celebration. Then she said she wanted to spend every second with him, to stay this happy, because this was the first time she had ever felt love like this. Embarrassed by her own words, she ran. Ryuto chased after her, his heart going at full speed, thinking about nothing except wanting to stay by her side for as long as he possibly could. Then prep school entered the picture and quietly started complicating everything. Ryuto showed up to his first extra class and nearly walked straight back out when Maria appeared in the same room. He dropped to the floor and began crawling toward the exit like his life depended on it. and ran directly into his senior, Shugo, who grabbed him by the collar and dragged him to a cafe before he could explain himself. Shugo said he could tell Ryuto was hiding something and wanted the truth. Since Shugo had already helped him before, Ryuto laid it out. The history with Maria, the current situation, all of it. Shugo listened, took it in, and asked if Ryuto planned to keep running forever. Ryuto said he didn't have much choice. He had decided to keep his distance. Shugo offered to back him up, to be present during extra classes, so Ryuto always had an excuse to slip away if Maria got too close. A few days later, the school announced the upcoming sports festival. The class needed volunteers for the representative team. The room stayed completely silent. Then Maria raised her hand. The whole class looked up surprised. A beat later, Luna raised hers. Ryuto understood immediately. Luna was using this as her first step toward Maria. Akari joined right after, following Luna's lead. With Nicole out due to a part-time job conflict, Akari turned and pointed at Ryuto as the only remaining sensible option. He caught Luna's quiet, pleading look from across the room. He agreed. For the final spot, he chose Yusuke, fully aware of Yusuke's feelings for Akari and deciding that if an opportunity was going to exist, he wasn't going to be the one who let it pass. A few hours into their first meeting, Akari and Yusuke were already chatting naturally. Yusuke flustered but clearly happy. Ryuto, meanwhile, ended up sitting between Luna and Maria, the three of them tasked with choosing a theme for the festival pamphlet. The awkward introductions were brief, ideas started moving. They settled on a futuristic theme without too much friction. Luna tried to draw Maria into the conversation by asking about her hobbies. Maria said she mostly watched videos online in her free time. Ryuto asked if she ever watched content from a gaming creator named Ken. Maria's face shifted. She did. And just like that, without meaning to, the two of them hit it off over a shared interest, while Luna sat beside them with no frame of reference, quietly watching from the side, feeling the specific loneliness of being in a conversation she couldn't enter. Later, sitting through an extra class with his mind elsewhere, Ryuto was pulled back by Shugo dropping into the seat next to him. Shugo asked if he was still thinking about Maria. Ryuto didn't bother denying it. As they talked, Ryuto guessed that Shugo must have been popular before. Shugo admitted it, mostly because he had been restless and kept changing his look to stand out. He even pulled out an old photo from when he had shaved his head to win the regional ping pong championship. Back then, only one girl had ever liked him. They had dated briefly before breaking up. She was the one who had suggested he change his hairstyle, the change that later made him popular with everyone else. Even so, he said, he still regretted how things ended with her. Days later, the class representatives met again. The mood stayed lively when they talked about decorations, then dropped the moment the subject turned to the pamphlet design. Luna had brought in colourful, poppy layouts she loved. Maria had prepared clean, structured designs. Both of them turned to Ryuto for his opinion. Deep down, he preferred Maria's, but he couldn't say that in front of Luna, so he said he hadn't decided yet. Later, he explained the situation privately to the teacher, who sympathized but made it clear. Ryuto had to make the final call before printing started. There was no more room to defer. That night, after extra classes, Ryuto ran into Maria on the way out. The air went awkward immediately. He tried small talk. Maria answered in short bursts. Then she opened up. After her mother's second divorce, they had moved to this area and she had chosen this school because it was affordable. She asked if he had ever wondered why she had transferred to the same school as Luna. He made a joke about her wanting to stir up trouble. She denied it. Then she told him the truth. Luna had a stable home, a father figure, a grandmother who cooked well, a sense of ease that Maria had never had. Maria had been dragged from place to place by family circumstances. She had even changed her surname because of them. She had transferred because she wanted to see Luna living well. That confession caught Ryuto completely off guard. Maria added that Luna loved surprises, which he should already know as her boyfriend. She admitted she had said cruel things to Luna, had even claimed she didn't like her, but she still loved her sister. She wanted to be close to her again. She described her first day at school, expecting Luna to call out to her happily, then feeling the sting when Luna's reaction had been shock instead. She was slowly trying to find her way back to who she really was. Listening to all of it, Ryuto felt the image he had built of Maria quietly restructure itself. Both sisters, in their own way, were still reaching toward each other across a distance neither of them had chosen. When the train arrived, they boarded together. Ryuto offered to walk her home. Maria turned him down and reminded him, with a small smile, that he wasn't her boyfriend. As they said goodbye, Ryuto tripped and dropped his books. Maria helped him pick them up, and noticed a prep school workbook among them. She looked at it, looked at him, said she had already figured it out. Then she laughed, handed it back, and walked away, leaving Ryuto standing there, absorbing the fact that he was now going to be running into her far more often than he had planned. The sports festival arrived. Normally, Ryuto found these events meaningless. This year felt different. He stood in the crowd and cheered loudly for Luna during her race, and she heard his voice through all the noise. It reached her. She pushed harder and crossed the finish line first. Later, Luna was assigned to the bar race. When she saw her challenge card, she immediately looked straight at Ryuto and called him over. He joined her without even reading the prompt, trusting the moment completely, thinking about the supercar conversation, about moving forward together, about not hesitating. They won. Afterward, Luna showed him the card. It had told her to bring someone she liked. Meanwhile, Maria had joined the cheer squad alongside Akari. Akari stayed close, encouraging her, knowing that Maria's mother had come to watch. When Maria spotted her mother in the crowd talking to Luna, she froze, and then bolted, claiming she had forgotten something. Their mother told Luna she didn't have much free time and that Maria had been practicing hard. Luna promised to find her. Ryuto went straight to the rooftop. He knew Maria well enough by now to know where she would go. He found her there alone, just as expected. He told her their mother was waiting. Maria said she didn't want to go down. She wanted her mother there for her alone. If people saw them together with Luna, everyone would figure out they were sisters, and she couldn't handle the attention that would follow. Ryuto pushed back. Their mother didn't have much time. Maria told him to go instead, assuming he didn't genuinely care. Then Luna appeared at the top of the stairs. She had heard everything, and Maria, seeing her there, said out loud what she had been carrying for months, that she still had feelings for Ryuto, that if he wanted to avoid complications, he should stop caring about her and leave her alone. She said she could keep loving him from a distance. Luna turned quietly and walked back down without saying a word. Days later, the teacher pressed the class to finalize the pamphlet. One teacher commented that students would probably prefer Luna's colorful design, while parents and most adults would gravitate toward Maria's cleaner layout. The final decision still rested with Ryuto. He had been circling it for days, trying to find a way to justify choosing Luna's, even though he personally preferred Maria's. Luna stopped him before he could speak. She told him not to lie, to just be honest. Ryuto chose Maria's design. On the walk back, he apologized about the pamphlet. Luna told him the pamphlet wasn't the problem. The problem was that he had felt the need to lie for her sake. She had been watching him for a while now, and the more she watched, the more a thought kept surfacing. That Ryuto might actually fit better with Maria. At first, his differences from her had felt exciting, but the deeper she fell for him, the more those same differences made her feel like she was losing ground. She said she knew he wasn't the type to act on lingering feelings for Maria, but she also knew he couldn't stop caring about her, and she didn't know how to keep going like this. Ryuto stood there stunned, trying to find something to say. Luna turned away before he could. She walked off quickly, and he started after her, then stopped. He couldn't force her to stay. He stood in the middle of the path, watching her go, and registered somewhere in the back of his mind that this was happening on their 4-month anniversary. Elsewhere, Maria sat alone with her thoughts and drifted back to an old memory. A younger Luna, carefully repairing a doll that Maria had tossed aside, stitching it back together with the quiet focus of someone who couldn't stand seeing something broken. When Maria had suddenly demanded it back, claiming ownership because she had paid for it, Luna had hesitated, then handed it over anyway, even though it hurt. In the present, Maria looked at that memory and recognized it for what it was. Luna had always been like that. quietly generous in ways that cost her something. Maria genuinely wanted her to be happy, and yet she still couldn't fully let go of Ryuto, and she knew it. At school, Ryuto spotted Luna talking with someone he didn't recognize and learned she was planning to meet an older guy. The information settled uncomfortably in his chest. Later, while cleaning the classroom with Nicole, he couldn't stop his thoughts from circling back to it. Nicole watched him and said what she was thinking, that she had believed he would make Luna happy, but all he seemed to do was hurt her. The words landed hard. He didn't argue. On his way home, Akari called and asked to meet. At a cafe, she got straight to it. Luna might be seeing another man. She had spotted Luna out shopping with someone older. Ryuto pulled up a photo of Luna's uncle on his phone, thinking it might be him. Akari shook her head. Younger. And, she added, as handsome as Gojo. Ryuto asked if she actually thought Luna would get involved in something like that. Akari didn't believe it, but she worried Luna might not know how to say no if someone was pressuring her. She also mentioned that Nicole had filled her in on the tension between them. Ryuto thanked her. Then he said clearly that he still trusted Luna. Completely. Afterward, he called Shugo and asked for backup. The next day, Shugo showed up at the school festival exactly as promised, immediately drawing a crowd of wide-eyed reactions from girls in the hallway. Ryuto pulled them back before he could become a distraction. Shugo asked why Ryuto didn't just talk to Luna directly instead of running an operation. Ryuto admitted things were too strained between them right now. It wasn't the right moment. Then Akari appeared and stopped dead when she saw Shugo. She blurted out that he was the man she had seen with Luna. Ryuto froze. For a moment his mind went to the worst possible interpretation, until he caught himself and forced the thought back down. This couldn't be what it looked like, but it also didn't make sense. Then Shugo clarified. Luna wasn't his ex. She was a friend of his ex-girlfriend. Ryuto turned that over slowly, and then it clicked. Nicole. Nicole, who had mentioned an ex who listened to Buddhist chants. Nicole, who had never fully moved on. Nicole, who Shugo had just described as the quiet ping-pong club manager, who had been the first person to ever like him when he was a nobody. When Ryuto pressed him for the full story, Shugo explained that Luna had called him on the way to extra classes and asked to meet. She had wanted to plan a surprise for Nicole, the two of them shopping together for something meaningful. Shugo had thought it was pointless. Ryuto told him it wasn't, because Nicole still had feelings for him whether Shugo wanted to acknowledge it or not. Shugo went quiet. Then he admitted it. He had been selfish. He had chased other girls before finally understanding that Nicole was the one who had always truly cared for him. When her parents divorced, he had made everything worse by ending things instead of staying. He blamed himself for how she had changed. Ryuto told him plainly that yes, he was at fault, but he also told him that this might be his chance to actually fix it. Before either of them could say anything else, Ren and Yusuke appeared with news. Luna and Nicole were being harassed by a group of guys in the schoolyard. Ryuto and Shugo moved immediately. By the time they arrived, Nicole was already positioning herself between Luna and the men, trying to handle it herself. She told Luna to leave. The men blocked her path. In that moment, Ryuto pulled Luna clear of the scene and got her away from it, but Nicole was still surrounded. Shugo stepped in. He walked up, calm and certain, looked at the men, and told them he was her boyfriend. Nicole stared at him. The words hit her somewhere she hadn't been prepared to be hit. Her eyes filled up before she could stop them. Shugo looked at her and apologized, simply, directly, for taking so long to come back. The men lost interest and dispersed. And standing there in the middle of the schoolyard, Shugo and Nicole finally found the closure that had been sitting between them for years. Ren watched the whole thing from a distance and felt his own quiet feelings for Nicole fold up and put themselves away. Yusuke, watching this unfold beside Ryuto, felt something ignite. He turned, walked straight to Akari and confessed on the spot. Bold, unplanned, and completely sincere. Akari turned him down. Ryuto and Ren stared. Yusuke stood there crushed. Later, Luna gently explained to him that Akari took love seriously. Being put on the spot only made her uncomfortable, but she believed that when Yusuke actually understood Akari's feelings, things might look different. That evening, the boys sat together in a heap, worn down by the accumulated weight of their respective romantic disasters. Yusuke and Ren compared their failures to a level of suffering that required anime metaphors to properly capture. Then they turned to Ryuto and called him the lucky introvert, the one who had somehow managed to confess to an incredible girl and end up with her. Something about hearing it said out loud snapped Ryuto back into focus. He stood up, told his friends he was going to find Luna. They cheered him on. He ran. He checked every classroom, every corridor, every corner of the building until he found her, standing alone on a balcony, looking out at the school grounds below. He joined her. Luna explained that she already knew about Shugo. She recognized him from an old photo Nicole had once shown her, which was why she had approached him in the first place. Ryuto admitted that for a moment he had suspected something far worse. Luna told him Akari had already explained the misunderstanding. Then Luna said she was glad Shugo and Nicole had found each other again. She said she thought Ryuto's effort had helped make it happen. She shared something Nicole had once told her, that being with the person you love is enough, because life is too short to keep manufacturing distance between yourself and them. Ryuto nodded. Then he added his own version, that life was also long, with many years ahead, and he wanted to spend all of them by her side. Weeks passed. Things between them settled back into something that felt real and steady. Luna mentioned that Nicole had been unusually warm lately, like flowers opening after a long winter. She brought up Yusuke, who hadn't been seen since the festival. Ryuto said Yusuke's emotional situation was currently colder than Cole Palmer in a rough patch. Ren's wasn't much better. Then Nicole came to school one morning with dark circles under her eyes. Luna and Akari leaned in, expecting to hear about a romantic evening. Instead, Nicole told them flatly that Shugo had broken up with her. He wanted to focus on his entrance exams and had asked her not to contact him. Ryuto went straight to Shugo and demanded an explanation. Shugo said it practically. If they stayed together, they would end up spending time together, going out, losing hours he couldn't afford to lose before exams. When Ryuto suggested Nicole could simply wait until the exams were over, Shugo shook his head. He didn't want to hold her back. He believed the people around her would help her move on. Ryuto didn't say it, but he didn't believe it would be that simple. Shugo turned the question back on him. Ryuto admitted that on the surface, everything between him and Luna seemed fine, but underneath it, he was afraid of hurting her again. At the same time, Luna was opening up to Nicole, telling her she felt Ryuto had grown distant and that she was terrified of what might be coming. That night, Nicole went to Luna's place. The two of them cried together, finally letting out everything they had been carrying. Back with Shugo, Ryuto admitted he had once loved Maria, that he avoided even mentioning her name around Luna now. Shugo told him that if he kept doing that, he would end up with no female friends outside of Luna. Ryuto said he didn't mind. He had been a complete loner before any of this anyway, but being with Luna had rearranged his entire world. Without her, there would have been no dates, no festivals, no lazy afternoons at the beach. Without her, he would have graduated and moved on with a life as blank as an empty page. So rather than risk losing her, he had made his choice. Shugo listened in silence and felt, quietly and unexpectedly, a little jealous of the weight behind those words. That night, on his way home, Ryuto ran into Maria. It was late, so they walked together until their paths split. Before they parted, Ryuto told her they shouldn't keep meeting like this. Maria admitted her feelings weren't easy to erase. But after the sports festival, she couldn't stop thinking about Luna, about how selfless Luna was, about how Luna might actually let Ryuto go for her sake. And Maria didn't want that, because as much as she loved Ryuto, she loved Luna more. She agreed to stop. Before she left, Ryuto told her something. Before Luna, she'd been his first love. Maria heard it, held it for a moment, and let it be enough. With things finally settled between them, Ryuto called Luna. Both of them had things they wanted to say. He could hear it in her voice, and she could probably hear it in his. But before either of them could start, Maria screamed. The sound came through the call clearly. Ryuto heard it and ran back without hesitating. He found her cornered by a group of men and got there in time to intervene. He took Maria to the police station and stayed while she waited. During the commotion, she had lost one of her earrings. Luna called their mother to come and pick Maria up. Before Ryuto could explain what had happened, Luna told him quietly to hold it. They would talk on Saturday before his extra class. She wasn't cold about it, but she was keeping the distance for now. Saturday came. They met at a park near his class building. Ryuto started to speak. Luna cut him first. She said Maria must have been terrified that night, and she meant it with full sincerity. Ryuto began laying out what had actually happened. Luna stopped him. She told him not to explain, and then something shifted in her voice. She said she'd been thinking about it for a while. She said the relationship couldn't be fixed anymore. She said she still loved him. She wanted him to know that, but she couldn't stop herself. All she could do was thank him for treating her well. Ryuto stood completely still. He had no words. Around them, the park moved on without them. Couples walked past hand in hand, unbothered and easy in the way that only made the silence between Ryuto and Luna heavier. Then a small child crawled past on the path with a toy car, and the sight of it pulled something loose. The memory of the supercar, the conversation about speed and enjoying the ride, Luna's laugh that day. Luna's eyes filled with tears. Then she heard something she hadn't expected, a quiet, broken sound. Ryuto was crying. He was barely keeping it together, and the only thing he managed to say was that he didn't want her to leave. He told her about Maria, that she had been his first love, that he felt guilty carrying that, and Luna said she understood. She apologized. She said she still loved him, but she was afraid. Afraid that someday, somehow, he might come to resent her. Ryuto pulled her into a hug and held on. He told her that people made mistakes, that he still wanted a future with her. They stayed like that, letting everything they had been holding back finally come undone all at once. When Ryuto leaned in to kiss her, the same small child came rolling back and rammed his toy car directly into Ryuto's head. The moment shattered into laughter instead. Later, Ryuto told her that just like a sports car, he wanted her to go full speed with her feelings for him. Luna smiled at his words and kissed him, finally letting their hearts fully reconnect. Afterward, Ryuto promised to stop being alone with Maria and apologized for all the tension he had caused. Luna listened, then surprised him with something he hadn't expected. She said she didn't just want to be distant acquaintances with Maria, she wanted them to become real sisters. She reached into her pocket and showed him an earring, a single moonstone matching the one Maria had lost during the incident. Luna explained that the missing half belonged to Maria. She had been keeping hers all this time, hoping that one day they would wear them together. Ryuto went still. Then he remembered. Maria had lost an earring that night. He told Luna. She looked at him, and without another word, the two of them turned around and went back to search the area. They combed through the street for a long time, retracing every step. Then Luna found it, small and pale, half hidden near the edge of the pavement. She picked it up and held it tightly in her palm. The fact that Maria had kept hers all this time said everything that Maria had never been able to say out loud. She had never truly let go. She still loved her sister. The next day, Maria received applause in class for scoring the highest marks in the year. While the room was still buzzing, Luna stood up. She turned to face everyone and announced clearly to the entire classroom that Maria was her sister. The room went silent. Maria sat there completely mortified, her face burning, wishing the floor would open beneath her. But Luna wasn't done. She was smiling, and when Maria's classmates gathered around afterward, teasing her about being the sister of the most popular girl in school, something in Maria's expression shifted. Luna handed her the missing earring. Maria looked at it for a moment, then looked at Luna, and then she pulled her into a hug, moved in a way she hadn't let herself be in a very long time. They laughed together, both of them, standing in the middle of a classroom full of people, finally just sisters again. Ryuto watched from the side and felt something loosen in his chest that had been wound tight for months. He thought about how far all of them had come, from a pencil borrowed across a classroom to this moment right here. It hadn't been clean or simple or easy, but it had been real. Weeks passed. Winter settled in quietly over the city. During a date, Luna told Ryuto she had something special in mind for Christmas Eve. His imagination immediately began constructing elaborate and deeply optimistic scenarios. Then Luna explained that what she actually had in mind was a Christmas mission involving her family. Ryuto's scenarios collapsed one by one. She wanted to try bringing her parents back together. She believed her father still had feelings for her mother, and since her mother was single again, she thought there might still be a chance. When Ryuto asked how she planned to make it happen, she said they would arrange a dinner, a meeting, something that felt natural enough to give things room to breathe. Ryuto could already picture himself sitting at the most uncomfortable table in the history of human dining. But Luna quickly told him she wanted him there. She planned to introduce him to her father properly. He agreed. Around the same time, Yusuke reappeared. He looked completely different. The soft, marshmallow-shaped Yusuke that everyone had grown accustomed to was gone, replaced by someone who had clearly spent the weeks since the festival making significant changes. Girls noticed immediately, clustering around him with an attention he had never received before. Akari noticed too, and realized, with a particular kind of frustration, that this new version of Yusuke matched her type almost exactly. Luna teased her about confessing. Akari's pride wouldn't move an inch. She had rejected him first. She had broken his heart in front of everyone. She couldn't just walk up and reverse that now, no matter how many times she told herself to. She vented about it to anyone who would listen. Nicole, meanwhile, quietly slipped away to the rooftop. She opened her phone with the clear intention of finally blocking Shugo's number. Her thumb hovered over the button. She couldn't do it. She stood there alone, phone in hand, unable to press the one thing that would make it final. Ren found her there. He tried to lift her mood, gentle and genuine in the way he always was around her. She turned him down softly. He accepted it without making a scene. Ryuto watched from a distance and felt the quiet ache of it. Everyone around him carrying their own version of longing, their own story of reaching towards something just slightly out of range. Christmas Eve arrived. Ryuto and Luna went together to the restaurant where Luna's mother and Maria were already waiting. Her mother looked surprised by the setup. Luna explained simply, she just wanted one family dinner, one night that felt like the old days. Maria apologized to their mother for keeping it secret, saying they had only wanted to give her that one evening. Their mother hesitated, admitted she had no desire to see her ex-husband, but couldn't turn away from her daughter's wish. She agreed to stay. When the father walked in, he stopped at the sight of his ex-wife. Then everyone else noticed the woman standing beside him. He had brought someone. Since Luna was introducing her boyfriend, he said he thought it was only fair to introduce his new partner. Luna's face fell completely. By the time they stepped outside into the cold, she couldn't hold it anymore. Her mother touched her arm gently and told her, whatever happened, she was always welcome home. Then Ryuto walked Luna back to her place, and she cried the entire way. He stayed close, saying nothing, just present. At her door, he prepared to leave and give her space. Luna grabbed his sleeve. She asked him not to go. He hesitated, genuinely torn between wanting to give her room and not being able to walk away from how tightly she was holding on. When he tried to step back, she only held on harder, crying in a way that made leaving feel impossible. He stayed. Inside, the lights went out. He heard her uneven breathing in the dark, her quiet voice asking him to stay until morning. And then he realized she was burning up. She had a fever. He pulled himself together immediately. He carried her to her room, pressed a cool cloth to her forehead, and stayed close through the night while she slept. Even in her fever, she murmured his name, whispered that she loved him. Ryuto sat beside her and made a quiet promise to himself that she was the only one, that he would protect her no matter what it took. Across the city, Ren waited outside Nicole's workplace as her shift ended. He had been preparing himself for this. One more try, one honest moment, whatever it cost him. But before he could speak, Nicole's phone rang. Her eyes changed. She walked past him, moving faster, searching. She went from room to room until she found Shugo in the library. She stood in front of him and said it plainly. She would wait for him, however long his exams took, and if he told her to forget him again, she wasn't going to accept it. She turned and walked out. Shugo followed her into the street without a word. He reached forward and wrapped her scarf more carefully around her neck, a small, quiet gesture that said more than any explanation could. Ren saw it from where he stood. He didn't make a sound, he just turned and walked away, finally understanding that there was no space for him there, and letting himself accept it without bitterness. For Akari, Yusuke's transformation marked the beginning of something she hadn't planned for. Despite everything her pride told her, she found herself falling slowly and against her better judgment. For Maria, watching Ryuto and Luna find their way back to each other had settled something in her. She had always believed, somewhere underneath everything, that they belonged together. Now she had seen it with her own eyes. There was no space for her in that story, and she had finally made peace with it. By morning, Luna woke up to find Ryuto still sitting beside her. The sight of him there, quiet and steady and exactly where she had needed him to be, filled her with a warmth she couldn't put into words. She was genuinely happy to spend Christmas morning with him. She reached under her pillow and handed him a small pouch of Lucky Charms she had prepared, a surprise, modest and thoughtful, made with him in mind. Ryuto disappeared for a moment, then came back dressed as Santa. Luna stared. He held out a gift, a pair of moonstone earrings, made to match the ring he had given her at the summer festival. She turned them over in her hands and felt something shift quietly inside her. When she was little, her father had dressed as Santa every Christmas. That role had always belonged to him. But now, sitting here on Christmas morning, she realized that the person who brought her warmth and comfort and the feeling that everything would be okay, that person was Ryuto. She accepted it, not just the gift, all of it. Her father's choices, the family she had dreamed of rebuilding, the distance between what she had hoped for and what was actually in front of her. She stopped chasing what was gone. She looked at Ryuto sitting next to her in a borrowed Santa costume, holding a pair of moonstone earrings, and chose to be fully present with the happiness that was already here.